Hello, everyone. Welcome to this morning's webinar on why path planning. Today, we're going to be talking about why we do path planning and why path planning is important for growers on the farm. Okay, so why do we do path planning and why is it important? Well, at Verge here, we're focused on accelerating the transition to autonomous farming through the development of user-friendly, intuitive precision agriculture tools. Our technology supports sustainable practices and positively impacts the way farmers manage their in-field operations. So what is path planning and how does it benefit you? The creation of an optimal plan that guides farm equipment to completely cover a field while avoiding all known obstacles. So basically, it gives you the operational efficiency of your fleet being planned and having a game plan before you get to the field and helps you execute in a more timely fashion. So how we plan and get to these optimized routes is through a tool called Launchpad. So it's the world's first interactive software that uses machine data to help farmers plan for seeding, spraying, and harvest. It's not limited to those activities. You can certainly use it for any tillage you wanted to do, or harrowing, or different operations like that. So we optimize ag equipment by creating custom path plans for fields of any size. We eliminate in-field decision-making or errors and reduce drive time and increasing profitability. Okay, so how we export our path plan is we use the complete track plan export. So what we have up on the screen here is obviously a John Deere display. And how we export the path plan being complete is you can see in our export tab, which I'll get into in the demo of Launchpad. So we have AB guidance lines, we have headland tracks, which are defined in the pink, outlining the field. We have inner tracks, which are the blue tracks here. We have an outer boundary, which is defined by the headland tracks. And then we have an inner boundary, which you can see is segmented here in yellow, which would also correspond with the sectional control boundary. So why we do a complete path plan export is gives you the flexibility of doing the headland tracks last, and thus reduces infield compaction. And on the next slide here, we'll show you why we've calculated that and what we have come up with turns and different things. So you can see on the field area defined here, and by having designated tracks and a complete plan for the field, giving you the ability to do the headland tracks last, you can see this turn radius is based on a four-wheel drive tractor pulling a seed tool with an air cart behind that. And you can see the compaction turn cycles from that implement. So if you're doing these, it shows how much of the seed bed disruption would be impacted by driving after the headland would be completed. So if you do the headland last, obviously it decreases seed and seedling mortality. It removes your seed bed disruption, decreases uneven stands, and then obviously you get a reduction in yield. So this gives you the ability to obviously go and complete that last and keeping your compaction to a minimum in those areas. So here we're going to jump into the demo of Launchpad. So I'm just going to flip screens here and show. Okay, so up here we have our trade show account that we have standard. We have a similar demo account. So when you sign up for an account, we have 5 pre-selected fields, which you can plan and try for free on our website. But we use similar things in our trade show org as well. So what we have up here is typical what you'd see if you brought your own fields into Launchpad. So you can see how they're mapped out on the geography in the background. So you're going to select your grower, select the farm you want to use, and then your fields populate on the screen. So to generate a path plan, we'll select one of the fields here, this nice rectangular field. You can go through, pick the operation you want to do. So let's say, for example, you want to do seeding. Down here in the menu, we can go through and add in our equipment. So we've already pre-populated how wide our sprayer is for application, how wide our combine header is for harvest, and our seeding equipment as well. And once you save those will default into the planning page as well. So as we go into seeding here, we'll pick our swath width, which is already put in here. When picking your swath width, you want to use the track spacing that the implement uses. Obviously, for the demo purposes, we're using 60 feet, but based on your GPS accuracy, you might have a different track spacing you want to use in here. So then we'll select the number of headland passes we want to do in the field, typically probably a couple. And then for interior passes, we want to select how many times we want to go around interior obstacles. We have a few in this field, so we're going to select 2 again, and then we're going to create a path plan. So as the path plan generates here, you can see the complete plan here. And then we have some items over here on the side, number of tracks, total time, and distance, where you can reference to the path plan that's made. So you can see in here, we have the optimal heading for the field. It gives you the number of tracks that you're going to complete on the field, the track distance you're going to travel, the headland distance by making 2 passes around the field, and then the total distance you'll travel as well. So you can also do this in time. So obviously the least amount of time is selected here. If you wanted to, compare to a different path plan at the time, you can take the slider here and move it, and you'll see how the guidance line changes in real time on the screen here. So if you wanted to compare against, something you've previously done, 0 heading versus, going to a 90 heading, you can go in here and select 90 from the table. And so it'll give you the number of tracks, the distance, headland distance, and total distance. And then if at any time you want to go back and compare to the optimized path plan, you're going to hit the arrow here and it'll take you right back to the optimized plan. You can also check on your plan for total distance. Obviously, this one's giving you the least amount of time to complete, the total distance, least amount of distance to travel, and the least amount of tracks to complete the operation. So in creating a path plan, we'll go back and I'll show you a couple other features in here. So we have this elevation tab as well for this field. So you can go in and select your parameters again, and you can turn this elevation tab on. And this will give you the recorded machine-driven elevation for the field. So you can plan your path around that. And I've generated the elevation for this field on the path plan. So you can see here how the table breaks out the distance you're going to travel at each elevation, and it has the elevations broken out and color-coded accordingly on the map. So in this one here, we've got 1 to 3% slope, which is 5.3 miles of travel in the field, and 35.45% of the field. And then it goes all the way up to greater than 8% slope, which is, a small distance of 1.19 miles and 7.8% of the field. So when planning these due to elevation, most times you're not always looking for the most optimized track. What you're looking for is to turn the guidance in reducing, obviously, the soil and moisture moving from, high elevation to low elevation, and what tracks you're going to make in there to prevent that from moving from high to low. So most of the people that use this feature will turn it until they can get, an accurate path plan that works for them and not reducing some of the soil erosion aspect of the field. So if we go back here, one of the other things you can do in the tool as well is if you're wanting to compare all 3 sets of, we'll just pick a different field here. If you wanted to select and see your seeding, your spraying, and your harvest lines for the same field, you're going to select this multiple activities tab down here. We'll select seeding and set our parameters for that. We'll pick spraying, set our parameters for that. And then we'll do harvest as well. And we'll set our parameters for that. And then we will create a path plan for this field. So what it's going to do is display on the screen all your operations guidance at once. So you can visually see what's going to come up for compaction, higher compaction areas. And what we want to do in here, typically growers will do their seeding or planting as their anchor, or the one they want all the other lines to correspond to. So we will hit the anchor tab in here and anchor the seeding. And then we will go back and bring the application line in. And then we will also go back and bring the harvest lines in. So now you can see your complete path plan for that field, including higher compaction points, where you're going to run into, different situations where we may need to adjust or change one of the path plans based on different parameters going on with another operation. For example, our crop might be lodged due to harvest and we can't complete the current plan we have. So now we have to go back and change our plan to go just a little bit across the rows, maybe 2 degrees across the optimal seeding heading. So it gives you the flexibility for that as well. So one of the other features in here, and I've already done it, is if you go to the plans page, so after you've completed a path plan and you save it, it comes to your plans page. So easy way to get the plans out to your equipment is you're going to select on the plans you want to export. You're going to click on the export tab here. It's going to give you different formats for whatever kind of GPS or monitor you're using. Just for this one, we're going to select John Deere. We're going to click next. It's going to ask you what kind of display you're using. We'll just select the 4640 and then we'll hit next. And then it's going to ask you what tracks you want to export out. So these tracks in John Deere will enter, and we've got a complete link to John Deere Operations Center. So the plan will export right into your Operations Center and allow you to make your setup file. And then if you have JD Link activated, you can push straight to your machines. We have this feature through other OEMs as well. Just getting to the export there, as soon as I click next here, the plan will end up in your John Deere account. You can also manually export it as well to put the file on USB or things like that. We also have a compare tab in here. So the compare tab allows you to do a few different things. So I've created some different path plans in here to show some comparisons. So the first comparison I'm going to do is equipment. So if you're looking to upgrade some equipment, and let's say you had a 120-foot sprayer and you're looking to upgrade to 135 feet. So you can compare what these two are going to do on a field for you. And down here, it gives you the tangible economics for each one. So if you look at the 135 foot is a total time of 0.35 hours on this field. If you look at the 120 foot, it's a total of 0.36 hours. But the tracks are the big one here. So anytime you can reduce turns or tracks in a field, we're reducing time and we're reducing wear and tear on equipment, hours, and labor as well. So you can see we have 2 less tracks, and then you can calculate savings from this as well. So you can enter in your equipment costs, your labor costs, your fuel costs, and calculate some savings based on that. I'm just going to go back here and show you a different example. So on these 2 fields, we're comparing swath widths. So if you're looking at upgrading your GPS and you want to know kind of how much your efficiency gain would be, so in here, if we've got a 40-foot implement on a lower GPS signal, we might have 39 feet as a track spacing. And if we upgraded to an RTK type signal, we might have another 9 inches of accuracy in the signal. So we could put a track spacing in of 39.9. And so we can compare these two as well in the tab. So if you're looking for some economics and time savings around upgrading your GPS, it gives you those as well. So what does 9 inches of accuracy mean in a field? Well, in this field, for example, it means 4 less tracks. So you can see here, we've got 144 tracks and 148 tracks. I mean, in a typical section field, I use the example all the time. If you're driving 4 miles an hour and you're going to complete a full mile, it takes you 15 minutes. So in this case, if this field was a full mile and I'm eliminating 4 tracks, well, that's an hour of your time. So what is your time worth? Well, you can, quickly calculate that up for yourself with what your labor costs, your fuel costs, what your machine's burning in fuel per hour. And then obviously, if this was a spraying or harvest application, you're just completing those much faster. So in harvest, you're getting possibly a higher value crop in the bin, which is worth more to you, and you can calculate savings around that as well. So that's kind of the ease and navigation of how easy it is to use Launchpad. Again, like I said, we offer a free 30-day trial of trying this out, and you can put 5 of your own fields in. So you can head to our website at www.vergeag.com and sign up for a free trial. I'll leave the last few minutes open here. If anyone has any questions, we can go to the chat and see if anyone has something they specifically want to see through the tool, or just a question in general. So we got a question in here. What if the field boundary changes because of too wet acres, or now it's dry enough to seed through? Okay, great question. So we can go in here. We have a feature as well in here. So the boundary changing, yeah, I mean, typically we want to keep up to date with your most accurate boundary and totally get that question as well. So if you're completing, let's just use this field, for example. So if you're completing seeding on this field, and we'll say this slough here at seeding time was this size, and then you go back and, we've gotten 3 or 4 inches of rain and now it's bigger. The boundary or the size of the obstacle doesn't really affect your path planning. When you go back and look at, I'll just pull up the plan for this field. If you go back and look at the plan for this field, you can see how the lines come right up against your outer boundary. So these designated tracks in here aren't going to change whether this obstacle gets bigger or smaller. They're still going to be there. So you have the ability to, stay on the same track. If you can drive through here, you can complete the line and then keep going. If it's a lot larger, then obviously you're still going to have to go around it. Yeah. And then if your boundary changes, we want to take as accurate read of the boundary each time. So if you do have a significant change in this boundary, by exporting the complete path plan here, we're staying within whatever boundary changes. So if this left-hand side moves over, 3 feet or something like that, we would want to get an accurate picture of that before we build your path plan to stay, so the path plan's complete. Yeah. So the next question we've got here is, can you view the sum total of all fields via one path plan method versus another, rather than just field by field? So you would have to, we can't complete all the fields at once, but you can compare the sum of all the fields of one path method versus another, just by manually recording what each field's doing. Right now, we only have the compare tab for field by field, but you could take that information and then calculate it out. Yeah. So for example, here, I'll just go back and you can look. So if I had in here, if I ran all the fields in here at, say, 0 heading, you could figure out like your total distances for each one, the total number of tracks, and then you could calculate out across your whole farm you know, how long it's going to take you at, you know, if you're traveling 4 miles an hour, for example. Yeah. Well, thanks very much, everyone, for joining us today. I'll just let you know we're going to be doing a few more of these webinars over the coming months. So the next one we'll have will be on March 23rd. And then the following month as well, April 23rd, we'll have another one. So please stay in tune and sign up for the other ones where we'll be going through some other topics throughout Launchpad and what we're doing here at Verge. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us today, and hope to see you on future webinars.